The outside of your temple might look perfect, but the inside is where the Romans hid all their detail. So let's bring that to life in Minecraft in part 2 of our Roman temple build, using some real references from ancient architecture. So without further ado, we're going to get on with the build. So taking off from part 1, we've got this inside of the interior, and I'm going to take some polished diorite blocks and I'm going to build them 13 by 2, so 13 blocks long, 2 blocks wide in this space. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some polished basalt and I'm going to place it kind of like a log horizontally from that first block there. And then on the 13th block, I'm going to be doing the exact same thing, the polished basalt. Now, I'm going to explain this a little bit later in the video why I'm doing this. But for now, we're just going to follow along and we're going to build this kind of long rectangle shape. Now, it's important with the polished basalt to try and keep it horizontal as such. But the main thing what I'm doing here is I'm trying to make these squares in the floor that you see in the Pantheon, in the modern day, that you can still see today, which was made with different colours and different types of stone, as I'm just kind of fixing the darkness underneath our building. So as you can see, we've got 2 big long rectangles, and I'm going to fill the middle of this in with just normal diorite blocks. And again, what we're doing is we're making this changing stone pattern, which adds this really textural, luxurious kind of thing that you see in a lot of the late Roman and early Roman builds or buildings in real life. If you see the Pantheon in Rome, you'll be able to see all of this, and I bring this up a couple of times in this video. Now on top of this, I'm going to just take some black stone buttons. This is just a little bit of extra detail. If you don't want to do this and it's a little bit expensive to do in survival, or it's just a nightmare, you know, your computer is having a tough time, don't do it. But yeah, now from the back of this is our base. This is going to be our basis on where we place our columns and our statues. So that from the back of this, I'm just going to be filling in with quartz bricks, as I do here. Now for our next step. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to build a big shelf with upside down stairs, smooth quartz upside down stairs. And beneath that terracotta block, we're just going to be placing it all the way around until we reach one of these columns here. So what you want to do is, if you look down, it's this first column just after that long rectangle finishes, okay? And then we're going to start building some columns on the inside. So you want to come on 1 from the edge, 2 polished basalt, and then just take your quartz pillar all the way up to the top. And we're going to be building some sort of like mini Corinthian capital with just some birch fence gates on the top. On the inside, I didn't want to make it too complicated. I just wanted to make it a little bit easier to build with the Corinthian capitals. Now with some nether wart blocks, now these are a little bit harder to get, but nether wart blocks, or some sort of red block, you're going to take in front of those ones, and then on this column here, this last column towards the end, place some granite blocks, and then this one here, just nether wart blocks again. And they're going to be the basis of your column. Now, it might help you in this video to try and turn your brightness up a little bit on your screen, just so you can try and see everything, but you should be able to see all right for most of the video. It's going to be quite dark for the first bit, but it brightens up later on. So the top, we're just going to be taking the columns all the way up to the top, and as you can see in the little caption over here, these typically framed like statues and ornamental elements, and they weren't really structural on the inside. It's some sort of basis of structure. And then on the top, on that top red block, we're just going to place some upside down diorite stairs, polished diorite stairs, sorry. And just continue your columns all the way up. I mean, you can use like the outside columns that are engaged into the walls at the moment as a basis of where you're going to place things. It makes it a little bit easier. And then for all of the tops of the columns, we're just going to be placing those birch fence gates, and we're going to be knocking them in like so. So again, this is a super simple step. The thing is that's like quite complex about getting Roman temple interiors right is it's a lot of repetition, and it's a thing where you got to trust the process a little bit. You add tiny little bits of detail, and then when you repeat it, it looks really good at the end. So it's a sort of thing, when you start doing it, you might think, oh, this looks a bit, you know, looks a bit crap, but once you get there and you start adding more bits, it really gets there. So on top, to fix our light problem, on top of all of these columns, just in line with them, I'm just going to place a lantern, and this adds this like really nice effect. When you walk in, you have this amazing light feature above the columns. If you don't have shaders, it will look a little bit bright, but if you do have shaders, it looks really nice. it looks kind of like LEDs, which they didn't have in Rome, in ancient Rome, but you know, you like to imagine it's some oil lamp. So come to the front and you've got your granite blocks here, and you're just going to be placing upside down polished diorite stairs. But then in line with your columns in the front, you're just going to place 2 polished basalt on top of each other as the base of your column, and then again just fill in the top with your upside down polished diorite stairs. Super easy. Then we're going to come all the way to the top with our quartz pillars, but you want to keep them just in line with your other pillars that you have. Now come 1 block up, and we're going to take 4 blocks of polished diorite. This is 4 wide, and I think it's again 5 deep. I'll have to check that one. And then from here, you're just going to come 3 backwards with chiseled quartz blocks, just filling in that gap. And this is going to be like the inner sanctuary, like kind of the zone where the main statue is going to be held, the main statue of the god that we're going to build in this temple. Now if you come on top of here, we're just going to be using this as a placeholder for the moment, but you just want to take, again, your smooth quartz stairs on top, and you're going to want to link these to that column there, if you can see that okay. So as you can see, we've kind of got a basis for where statue's going to go, then we have this thing on the side. And again, we're just going to be doing the same thing with birch fence gates. We're just going to knock them in all 3 sides, not the back, all 3 sides. And that will get our nice Corinthian capital detail. Now, if you come to the back, what you're going to do is you're going to basically take one from the edge, so it's going to overhang the upside down smooth quartz stairs. And in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to edit these ones on the front, because it actually looks a little bit better with an overhang, I think. I mean, it's really personal preference. If you think it looks a little bit better, inset a bit more, you know, by all means do that. But sometimes it adds a little bit more depth when you look to the back. Now on the inside, I'm just going to take some red terracotta. We're going to do it 3 wide, and we're going to take it all the way to the top. And then on this side here, just fill it in with chiseled quartz blocks. On top, chiseled quartz blocks. And you're going to basically box this out all the way to the top. And this is going to just like seal off this area, so it then looks like, you know, it's this big block that is, you know, blocking off that section of the temple. Now you're going to want to fill that in with some light as well. But yeah, we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Just mirror it on the other side, take some red terracotta, and we're just going to fill in this area as well. And then again, the bits that are remaining from the top, just take some chiseled quartz blocks and fill in that area. And again on the side here as well. But make sure that you've got some light in there, because it will be the most annoying bat mob spawner that you have ever seen. So in order to fix our lighting issue, you're going to have to bear with me with this one, but we're just going to put some lanterns in the bottom, just so you can see a little bit better. The thing is with a lot of these Roman temples is they just didn't have, like, you know, a lot of them didn't have windows, or the one I've designed here doesn't have any windows. It's very, very dark. So yeah, some lanterns will do the trick. Now what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start building some statues in between these. Now the thing is with these is they can be quite tough to crack. What you want to do is you just want to do some upside down stairs in smooth quartz, some different stair patterns, and it can kind of look like some statues. You could do it with armor stands and you can put some custom heads on it. I think it then looks a little bit too detailed. I think the stairs look quite nice. But again, it is really up to what you want to do. I mean, I'm kind of just placing stairs randomly here. There's not really a particular method I'm using. As long as you've got like 4 stairs at the bottom and then maybe 1 upside down on the top, which is the head, it can kind of look like a statue as such. But again, I mean, you can just copy exactly what I'm doing with the smooth quartz stairs. But typically what I'm doing is I'm just putting 5 smooth quartz stairs upside down and placed normally to try and make something that resembles a statue in these little gaps in between the columns. And I'm going to be filling all of them all the way up to the back as well. And then when you come to the front door, when you look into the temple, it's this really cool repeating shape that has a little bit of variation because of the statues. But again, like I said earlier, it's the repetition. A lot of the things in Roman architecture is the repetition that they really love to do. They did it mathematically so to get all of that repetition in there. Now that block on top of where the statues' heads are, just take some bamboo fences, not bamboo signs, sorry, and just have them with no writing whatsoever, as we do quite often in these videos, and have it as like a brace that's surrounding this column. Just a little bit of extra detail to add in there. And we're going to do it on all three sides, except on this one here. All three sides, so it looks like this brace that's bracing the column or tying the column to the wall. Again, I mean, this is a little bit of extra detail that maybe isn't necessary, but I quite like it. It's not a particularly, difficult thing to do. It's just a little bit of extra depth and detail to your interior. And again, just a couple more lanterns here or there. Doesn't do any harm. Maybe on top of these as well. Okay, so this space in the middle here, we're going to be doing the statue next. So this again is a little bit of a... It's another thing where you've got to try and fiddle around with different layouts and just see, okay, what works best for me. So I'm going to try and make a statue of Jupiter, or some sort of god, male god with a spear. And I'm going to try and do it in this 2x2 base area here. If you've got a bigger base, it's much easier to do, but you're going to try and want to think and say, okay, are there some feet? Is there the body? I'm going to have some sort of indication of the arms. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but like typically, the upside down stair head works quite well. And as you can see, I'm kind of getting a shape that looks like a person. The thing is that's quite useful about Roman statues is because they were quite often draped in a toga or some sort of robe. You can do some sort of flowy shape with then a head on it, and you can mix around with different types of quartz blocks and whatever. So here I'm just taking smooth quartz stairs, smooth quartz blocks, quartz pillars, and then I've got a granite stair, upside down stair on the top, which is his head. And then here I'm just going to build some sort of spear. So I like to do with how I like to make a spear for a statue is I just take some birch fences and then put a couple of chains on top, and it looks like a spear. So as you come into it, it looks like someone's holding a spear. It looks like some impressive Roman god. And again, a white banner. It can also look as like some sort of arm. Again, I mean, there's no real method that I use for these. It's just you place blocks kind of randomly. You have some central tall block spine, and then you just add stairs around it, and that kind of gets a decent shape. But once you add a spear in, it then really makes it look a little bit more human in that sense. So in the other temple that I did in my example, I did a slightly different one. I had a larger space. Now it is easier to do it with a larger space. However, I wanted to do something a little bit different and do a smaller statue. So, it really depends on what you want to do. I mean, you can edit this and go back. I mean, the world download I've provided should have both of these temples in it, in the previous video. But again, I mean, it's really just trying to play around with what you like and what looks best for you. So a couple of extra details I'm going to be adding here. I'm going to be adding some pots, I'm going to be adding some candles, and this just adds this element to say, okay, there's these tributes to the god that you would have seen. If you look at like ancient Greek temples, ancient Roman temples, Egyptian temples as well, they had always tributes in front of the god. The last thing we're going to do, I forgot to do this in the last video, just add some plants to the front of your temple. And this just adds a little bit of extra life to your temple. I like to do just cauldrons and leaves, and it just looks like this tall plant pot sort of thing. And then again, you get this really beautiful portico in the front that we built in the last video. So pretty much there you have it. I mean, that is the temple complete. Really, I think this is a really, really nice looking temple. I hope you guys think the same as well. And the interior really makes it like this impressive civic building, as you can see. And I think the thing is with it is it really captures like that grand scale of a lot of these Roman buildings. If you've seen them in person, it really like invokes this sense of importance. And look, when you come into the interior, it's this amazing, colourful, almost luxurious space. So guys, I really hope you've enjoyed the video. I really hope you've learned a little bit, and I'll see you in the next one. Make sure to like and subscribe for more Roman tutorials. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video, guys. Have a good day, and bye-bye.